believe Ryan Clark. Apparently, he knows, or they got a personal relationship, but they play together or something.
No, they work together at ESPN.
They work together at ESPN. He basically, I ain't gonna say per se expose him, but he basically gave his experience working with RG3.
Yeah.
And in so many, he didn't use these words, but in so many words, he kind of called him Uncle Tom.
He definitely did. Yeah.
He said it. And he
But
said
and that was based on RG3's take of Angel Reese hates Catlin Clark.
Correct.
You know, based on her reaction to the hard foul.
Based on her reaction to the hard foul.
And your thought is they both hate each other, and that's fair.
Each other.
Yeah.
And my man thought that, and that's fair. That's fair. But if you push me like that or foul me, whatever, in a basketball game, that's my natural reaction.
Yeah.
To turn around and react like that. Do I want to fight on the court? Hell no, I don't want to get kicked out the game in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But if you foul me like that, I'm gonna get up and say,
It's gonna
"What's
be some.
wrong with you?"
Yeah.
That don't mean I hate you as a person.
Or if that don't mean I'm about to attack you.
That don't mean I'm about to attack you.
Yeah.
But you got to know, don't do that shit again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but as far as their off-court relationship, no, they ain't friends. People be like, oh yeah, when they friends, they get along. No, they don't. No, they don't. They're not calling each other, hey, how you played in that game? They don't fuck with each other.
But I do think that's a great point. That hate comes from Catlin Clark hates her too because she stopped her from winning the championship.
If you beat me in a national championship game and you run around doing this in my face and point to your ring finger, I ain't gonna like your ass. You just embarrassed me on national TV.
Ever.
You can give me all the politically correct answers in front of an ESPN screen, but I don't like your ass.
Yeah.
And people gotta understand in sports, you don't gotta like everybody, bro. That's okay.
That's fine.
That don't mean I want you to die. That don't mean I want you to go crash into a bridge or whatever. But that just means I don't really like you.
Do you think it was fair of RG3 to like assume intent or like?
That she hate her?
Yeah.
What exactly did he say? He said.
He was like, you can tell by her reaction that she like, this is not a sports competition. This is like genuine hate.
Well, I believe if he would have came from a perspective of they both don't. Right?
Yeah.
He just made like it was old.
Like Catlin was being attacked. This poor chick.
White girl. She was started to leave. She's bringing all the fame and the money.
And this big bad angel hates her.
Big bad angel.
I didn't even watch his whole take.
The ghetto girl. You know what I'm saying? Ghetto. She got the weave, the lashes, and.
No, is this take fair? Because I thought.
Is it fair?
I thought it was weird for him to say that. But then I thought it was weird for Ryan Clark to say what he said too.
I think it was weird the way RG3 reacted when Ryan Clark called him out on this bullshit, and Ryan Clark gave him his perspective from working with him at ESPN, and he said, man, you don't understand the experience of dealing with a black woman because you married 2 white women, right? And he had the white woman in the background while he was dissing Angel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Ryan Clark, from personally working with him, knows him a bit different than everybody did. But you know what also was crazy? The way RG3 came back and tried to play the victim. Oh man, I can't believe you dragged my. That man didn't say nothing about your kids. He never attacked your kids. Honestly, he didn't even attack your wife. So RG3 made it personal and tried to even attack that man's job. He said, yeah, I don't think it's a good look for ESPN. Bro, Ryan Clark said this on his own personal podcast. RG3 said this on his own personal podcast.
But that don't matter though. Like they have that in the contract that if you go on your personal podcast.
He still tried it.
Yeah, and
he said ESPN when he could have left that out.
No, I'm saying like if you say something that is detrimental to the brand of ESPN on your personal podcast, they fired whatchamacall for having strippers. Paul Pierce, right? Yeah. On his personal thing, which is he wasn't breaking any laws. But back to that.
So you saying you can't do that on your personal?
Nah, not if you can't. There's lines still, especially what you're working for ESPN. But I would say this.
You think?
Well, just cause this is unique. I'm uniquely qualified because I have a European wife, and RG3's wife is European too. She's like from Lithuania or somewhere like that. Some Eastern European country. Now, and she's a beast. She's a like a heptathlete. She's a savage athlete. It does matter to highlight that she isn't an American white.
It's different?
It's different. It's a different type of relationship. Now, I'm not even gonna get into that. But I will say that for him it's almost like he said, you can't comment on black women because you married 2 white chicks. And then it's weird for me because Ryan Clark got a whole biracial kid.
Correct.
So at one point, you had a relationship with a white chick. And it also assumes that RG3 you don't have no black aunts, no black moms, no black cousins. So you ain't got no proximity to black women. And it's a weird thing to assume that his dating history, it's almost like he questioned RG3's blackness based on his wife, which I don't think is necessarily fair.
Yeah.
Now, do I think RG3's comments were fair? Hold on, I'm talking. Let me put it on me. Do I think RG3's comments were fair? Nah, I don't think it was fair. It was a weird take. But I think you can just debate the man on the merits of what he said versus trying to assume that he's coming from some nefarious place about black women because of his who he had kids with and his wife. And especially when the messenger that's delivering this, it's like, oh, black queens, great. And you dibbled and dabbled too. So
Right.
you're not the person to throw that stone. Now, also, he did say that he didn't attack his family. Well, he made the comment that you had your white wife in the background doing this and like co-signing,
Yeah.
almost like saying like she don't like black women either, and she was, egging you on, adding fire. So I think that was a shot at the family with her, and she's in the background a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
They do a podcast together, so I don't think that was it a good look for him to be talking about black women while it's a white chick in the background? No, it was a little tone deaf.
Let me ask you this, if you mind, if I interject.
Go for it.
So do you believe RG3 opened up that gate for that conversation to be had, being that he, made these comments in front of his white wife? Because let's be honest about it. Like you said, he's talking about a black woman who's already highly scrutinized. I say more than it's like LeBron level hate, bro, that she get. So it's like, do you think that
He opened the gate by
he opened the gate? So he kind of played victim, in my opinion. When it was like, damn, I didn't know it was gonna reverse on me like this. Like it was like a whole Uno reverse.
Two things could be true. Yes, I do agree that he made himself a target, but why do we have to take the shot? Like it's always us that come at each other like that. When does a white person say you married a black woman, you can't talk about white women?
Right.
I mean, when does a white person attack in the media? And vice versa, like because I would say now you see a lot of people in media. You see there are a lot of black women in media that are married to white men for whatever reason.
Right.
That's a whole nother can of worms. When you say it, black men, for the most part, we date in our race. But like when you get to the top level, like the top 1%, that's when it starts to skew.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're a black woman, it's more black women in like higher education, especially in like Harvard and stuff. There's not as many black men. So they generally hook up with the people that's around them. So you end up with, if you point out a PhD black woman, odds are she's gonna have a white man. That's why, look, all those judges they got put up to be Supreme Court, they all had white men. They just all did for whatever reason.
Well, look, let me ask you this. So, let me ask you this. If
let me wrap that up though.
Go ahead.
So like, when that happens, and if their men make comments about black women or white women, you don't have other white men coming out. Well, you married a black chick, you can't speak on that, and that's pretty weird. We gatekeep like for weird situations.
Well, it talks about racial relations in America. It really go back to that, racial relationships, or just relations in general in America, because black people have always we've always had to defend ourselves. And that's the thing about the Catlin Angel thing. It's not just about RG3 just sparked the topic back up of racial relations in America. So that's why people felt some type of way, because you do have this white woman back there while you're talking about a black woman, as we say, a black queen, right?
Yeah.
So he
can't criticize black women? Are they
RG3?
or anybody?
Well, absolutely. But when you got the history, according to Ryan Clark, we don't know, right? According to Ryan Clark, the history that he has working with him at ESPN, how he been rolling, the stuff he been said makes it a little different. Come out of RG3 mouth.
That's out of bounds though. So we don't. We got to take some private conversations that may or may not have happened as law because Ryan Clark said it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't know.
Yeah.
But what RG3 went on to do, he basically made like what he said was law. And if you look at the comments, it's a majority of like older white men sitting there agreeing with him. Yeah, well, it's true because this is. Now let me ask you this, and this may be jumping the subject. If Angel had filed Catlin the same way, would RG3 have made a video? Would the reaction have been the same? Who would have been the villain then? Answer that. Who would have been the villain if, let's say, based on social media?
And it's hypothetical.
Hypothetical. If Angel filed Catlin that same way, how would this whole situation would have went? They still would have said Angel hate this girl, right? It's no way it would have been the other way around. You see what I'm saying?
Well, we've seen that before. We've seen the league come out, and when they first got in the league, they were hard fouling Catlin, and they were just like,
I don't think so.
They were like,
I still think that's silly.
The narrative was why do they hate this girl?
Hate her because they roughing her ass up.
She's coming in to help the league.
You want to come down, shoot logo bomb threes in my face. Now I'm about to pick you up full court, and I'm gonna push you a little bit. That's street ball, bro. That's how we play.
Well, yeah, just answering your question, like what would happen? I mean, I think we've seen that scenario play out.
Angel did it, not if any black. If Angel filed Catlin.
Yeah.
The same way.
Would they come out and say?
What would the headlines have been, Desmond, if Angel would have filed Caitlyn,
and Caitlyn got up and swiped at her like that,
they would have said, "Oh yeah, I wish you would have hit her. She deserved it."
Well, no doubt, for sure. I'm not arguing a double standard on that.
I think that's all it is, a double standard.
It definitely is a double standard. It's 100% a double standard. Me and Posey talked about that. The double standard with Shador, like
that's a whole nother.
Like for whatever reason, white people get more latitude to be an asshole or a rich, spoiled kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they can still get drafted high. Whereas, and there's some to it that
if you do it, you gotta humble you.
Why we have to be humble. We talked about that, and we kind of reached a common ground on that. He agreed. He disagreed that they not the big victims here, and they set up the situation. Dion is definitely a part of the problem, a reason why he dropped. But also, it's like if he was a white guy, he probably wouldn't have slid as much. And that was my big point. But so there's a double standard. I'm not arguing a double standard. My biggest contention is, yes, that was a bad take by RG3. But just, that's a bad take. People have bad takes. Why do we have to psychoanalyze this guy's entire philosophy based on who he had kids with or some private conversations that he had with RG3? And we got to attack his blackness now because I don't like your bad sports take. It's a bad sports take and leave it at that. And he's a milkman. And I can hear jokes like that made in jest. He loves to say he's a milk guy. He likes milk. Oh, have you had your milk? It's like, all right, we get it. RG3's an easy target. He's what did Rob Parker call him, a cornball brother? Yeah. That cost him a lot of money, by the way.
Really?
And
Parker?
Rob Parker made that comment about RG3 years ago. Called him he's a cornball, bro. He attacked his whole manhood in the locker room. No, he didn't get in trouble for it. It didn't cost Rob Parker. It cost RG3. In RG3's own words, he's like, that statement has followed me, and it definitely cost me because people have presupposed notions.
So what will make you, if you know that you have this type of reputation?
Well, let me add my insight because I do have a European wife.
Right.
And we do have conversations about black women because you know what? She has a relationship with my black mother. Mm-hmm. They're very close. So to assume that RG3's wife is oblivious to the plight of the black woman in America, I think is not fair.
It's reaching,
It's reaching. It's assuming things. The same way it would be an assumption to say that about Ted, because guess what? She got a black daughter.
Correct.
So if anything, she's more vigilant to that, and she's noticing racism. Well, I don't even see racism. She becomes a little extra, and I'm like, nah, I don't think that was necessary. And she talks to my mom, and that type of thing. So that's why I thought it was a reach on RG3's part. And he came out and apologized and like, I did the same thing to them that I was saying you were doing to us or to black women. And he was trying to put the cape on and use that to protect black women, and he had to tear down Ryan Clark, and he tore down another group to do that.
With that being said, that's a fair point. Being that RG3 has a black daughter, because let's be honest, biracial child, but in America she's black.
Yeah.
We know how that rule went way back in the day. It really still apply. Should he have been more sensitive?
It depends on how light they are. But
should he have been more sensitive to? Should he be more sensitive or more aware to the type of statements or stuff he put out there? Being that he has a daughter that's viewed as a black woman in America, as she continues to grow, etc. You know what I'm saying? Because that could easily have been his daughter. Just like he said, don't attack my family, my kids. Okay, well, you attacking somebody's kid and family. When you put that out there, said that she hate this girl, people immediately start to attack her. They don't think about her mental health too. I think she carry a lot of shit. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, you should be more aware. They don't, and I guess in the profession he works in, he gonna have crazy takes. He gonna have different type of takes. But I feel like some stuff you gotta be sensitive about how you talk about it because of the nature of that relationship. If it was anybody else, he could have went a certain angle, but because it was them two, we all know the history of those two, bro.
Yeah.
So it's different with them two. You know what I mean?
I agree with. Even jumping in. I agree with that. Should he be more sensitive? Maybe. Does it make his take out of bounds? I don't think so. Maybe the optics weren't the best, but it's a slippery slope because then it becomes you want equality. Why can't he just be making an Angel Reese take on Angel Reese in a vacuum outside of her being a black woman?
But he don't know her like that though. He just
it still would have been a bad take.
Yeah.
But he's like, if I'm making a LeBron take, I'm making a take about LeBron, not about black men in the NBA.
I just feel like it was an ill-informed take. I feel like it was lazy. I feel like it was lazy. He was trying to get some clicks. It was a hot topic. It worked and it backfired. Which
I think two
Stephen
things can be
Stephen
true.
A. even came and spoke against him on that same issue.
Two things can be true. It was a bad take, but also Ryan Clark, obviously, because he had to come out and apologize. That was a
Ryan
bad
Clark
take.
did?
Yeah, he had to apologize, and that was a bad take.
It's just a slippery slope, man, when you play
Yeah.
them games. But it all go back to which people say, oh, everything about no, everything's about. It's all about race in America.
Is it?
I think so.
It shouldn't have to be,
shouldn't have to be.
but it is.
You know.
Tune in the next episode of Relentless.